Hey, what's going on, guys? Mr. V. It is April 23rd, 2020. It is Thursday, and we're back at it again with day 4 of Word Generation 2.05. So, going to kick things off by getting into our agenda, which I'll show to you guys now. Hope everyone's doing well and is being safe out there and doing what they need to do. I know that some people were looking out for this video yesterday, but did not have time to complete it. Again, these videos I'm doing during my own time. I'll be on daily, every day, Monday to Friday, again, during unrecorded sessions on Google Meet to discuss work with you guys and any questions you have and anything I could be of assistance with. So if you were really looking forward to this video yesterday, I do apologize, but we're here today, all right? And that's what matters. So going to get into our agenda for the day. So again, the question of the week, how do you like your bacon? I put up a bonus question as well. Right now, the results are tied between 7 Harvard and 7 Yale. 6 interactions in each class. I'm hoping to see who the winner will be. I'll announce that next week. As the poll will be open until Sunday. Last week, as you recall, 7 Yale were declared the question of the week champions. Let's see if 7 Harvard can dethrone them this week. It seems like they're on their way. Again, tied 6-6 right now. The bonus question of the week actually came from our survey from the Word Generation packet, the Think Scientifically section. The most important reason to get good grades is, and I've seen some people responded to that, and maybe you responded to one question or the other, it doesn't matter. Hopefully you can respond to both, but in total, we've had 6 responses in 7 Harvard and 6 responses in 7 Yale. Also got some information about our extended school closure. There's more details to come. I'm going to share more information as it becomes available, so I'll talk to you about what I know so far. Then we're going to get into the day 4 work, which is debate the issue, where Generation 2.05, should students be paid for performance in school? We'll be looking at developing a claim, looking over some evidence that I've gathered for you, and taking a look at the response rubric and expectations. The next steps for this lesson will be reviewed in the close, and that's for student responses to be completed for Word Generation 2.05. This is your homework, so to speak. The vocabulary for our lesson: incentive, incentivize, implement, motivate, undertake, and enable. So it take you back over to my chair, right? Get my plug. And before I actually kickstart with the agenda and some of the topics I need to talk to you guys about, I'm going to hit you. My hair looks crazy. Need a haircut bad, but hey, it is what it is. Before we actually get to everything I want to talk about today, just going to play some music. This song is called Who Needs You by the Orwells. I Need You. That's Who Needs You. I'm helping. I hope. Having fun every day, 11 o'clock. All right. So, again, that song is the Orwells, Who Need You. Feeling into the kind of punk rock vibe today. So to get to some of the things I want to talk about for our opening, I wrote my agenda down here because I need to make sure I'm covering all the bases. I know sometimes I got to do these and that, and I'm trying to look in the camera to see if I can see it. But again, to get to our agenda quickly, question of the week, I announced we're tied 6-6 right now. Hopefully we'll see at least on Sunday if 7 Harvard is able to dethrone the reigning, defending question of the week champion, 7 Yale. As far as our extended school closure goes, All right, I received this information in the middle of the video that I recorded on Tuesday. Was not very excited about the news, although I wasn't, very surprised. But as of right now, and I don't think it's going to change, but school has been closed through the end of the school year, which is scheduled to end on June 16th. However, learning must continue. Must continue. The show must go on. Okay, the show must go on, and it's going to go on. All right. And we're going to get some learning done, and we're going to do what we need to do to show that, we can make this all work. So in terms of the phase 3 packet, which will, start being distributed, I believe, on May 5th. I'm not sure what the contents are going to be, but I did suggest that these word generation units are probably the most beneficial for us right now. We'll see what the district decides, but as I get more information about, how that work will be distributed, I will let you know when and where you can pick it up. Additionally, in terms of work submission, I cannot confirm this, but I heard what they might do, excuse me, had the burp. What they might do is when you pick up that phase 3 packet, they may have you drop off the phase 1 and 2 packets at that time. However, I'm not exactly sure. I cannot 100% confirm that, but I think that is the direction in which we're heading. Last but not least, okay, this was not on the agenda. Miss Pettinati needs you. She needs your art. Okay, she wants some art. She put together this great PowerPoint presentation, kind of like an art exhibit of work she's received from students since our school has been closed, and it came out awesome. She did it in a Google Slides presentation. If you or anyone you know have any art that you'd like to share with Miss Pettinati so she could include it in a future exhibit, please email her at rpettinati@fallriverschools.org. That's RPETTENATI at fallriverschools.org. Otherwise, you could always send it to me, Mr. Viveiros, and I would be more than happy to share your artwork with her. I went through the slideshow earlier with Haley during our engagement hour. I was also happy to be joined by Antonio today. And again, the engagement hour that we're doing, it's just, fun and chit chat and, talking about, kind of how we're doing, any questions, concerns that you have. I'm not recording any of those sessions, but I am live every day at 11 a.m. Until around 12 p.m., which I take a quick break. Then I usually make a video. My goal, again, it's getting hard to make a video every day, but I'm trying to get at least 3 videos done a week. I'll have another video coming out tomorrow for our next word generation unit. But to circle back to what I was saying, any artwork you have, you want to share, you want to add to the virtual exhibits that Ms. Pettinati is doing, you can email them again to rpettinati@fallriverschools.org, or you could, share them with me, Viveiros at fallriverschools.org. That's PVIVEIROS at fallriverschools.org. And before I continue on, I do want to congratulate and thank all of you who have engaged so far this week with me online. I've seen a number of new faces, some new people answering the question of the week, people messaging me on YouTube and leaving comments, and I really appreciate all that. I appreciate all the love, guys, and just want to show my love and appreciation for you guys reaching out and engaging with what I'm trying to do here. It's a true testament to your commitment to your education, which is great. It's great, and if you could continue to spread the word, that'd be great. All right, that'd be awesome. Spread the word. Let's get as many people as involved as we can. Whether that's sharing my YouTube channel with them and telling them, hey, subscribe, like this channel, or just directing them to go to Google Classroom and check out the questions of the week. Anything you can do to support me and support your fellow students would, be greatly appreciated. So let's get into our work for today, shall we? All right. Share. And hopefully I'm sharing my screen now with everybody. It usually takes a second to kick over, so just going to let it go. And I think we're there. So today we're covering Day 4, Work for Word Generation 2.05, Should Students Be Paid for Performance in School? So I'm going to direct you all to page 29. Again, the page numbers are located at the bottom right corner. And page 29 is going to look like this. Now, we're not going to spend much time looking at page 29 directly today because if you recall from Unit 2.04, I really simplified the day 4 activity with a graphic organizer in the Google Doc notes that I shared with you all. But to review this sheet, it says to debate the issue. Pick one of these positions or create your own. So option A or position A is students should be paid for performance in school. Position B, students should not be paid for performance in school, or create your own position. All right, and you could write down your position here if you're doing it on this packet. What you'll see in my Google Notes is that I have taken these 3 opinions and outlined them in a bit more easy and more understandable way. Now, in this section here, it wants us to jot down notes on how to support our position during a discussion or debate. So what it's asking us to do is to identify evidence that we could use to support our position that we have identified over here. Okay, so to complete this, again, you could check off one of these boxes if you're doing the paper packet. Again, if you're creating your own, you'd write down your own opinion or position here. And then over here, you jot down, 1 or 2 pieces of evidence that would support your position in a debate. And fortunately for you guys, if you're accessing the Google Docs, you'll see that I have provided evidence, at least 1 piece of evidence to support position A and position B, and I'm providing 2 pieces of evidence to support my own position. So let's go over to the Google Doc now, and I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to X out of the word generation packet, make everything a little bit quicker. All right, so the day 4 lesson. I got to change the date. Again, I had the set ready to go yesterday, but just did not get around to recording. I got kind of sidetracked after my afternoon engagement hour with, again, starting at 11 o'clock yesterday morning. Got kind of sidetracked after. I have this new project I'm kind of working on, which is really just a spreadsheet for me to track engagement between myself and you guys out there. So I've got all these little drop down boxes and everything like that. So I kind of got bogged down in creating this document and then entering the data, and then before I knew it, it was almost 5 o'clock, and then I was like, I'm really beat. I don't know if I'm gonna get around to that video today. And so again, apologies. My goal is to get out at least 3 videos a week. If I can do a full week and get 1 each day, that'd be great. But, I wouldn't set that expectation. And again, as I'm posting videos, these recordings, I am updating you guys on Blooms, on Twitter. So again, keep an eye out on that stuff. Follow me on Twitter at Doran_Mr. V. And then again, subscribe to YouTube and you get alerts as soon as the video goes live and gets posted. All right, so for day 4, again, we can pick one of the positions or create our own. So option A, the position is students should be paid for performance in school. Option B, students should not be paid for performance in school, or create your own position. So this is Mr. Viveiros' position. It reads, schools should undertake the task of providing alternative incentives to motivate students to do well in school. So my opinion is that we should not pay students to perform in school, but we should also not pay students to perform in school. My belief is that we should offer an alternative incentive. So rather than give students money, we should give them some sort of alternative incentive. And the incentive I feel that most students want, based on the data that Chantel and Sharif collected in their survey, and based on the numbers I'm seeing on my own Google Classroom survey, which mimics their survey, is that most students are motivated to perform well in school and get good grades because they feel like that's what's going to allow them to get a good job and get into a good college. So the alternative incentive that I think we should propose and implement to motivate all students to do well in school would be the incentive of providing students with job training or a good entry to a free college, right? Or entry to college for free. Okay. Let's get to the evidence. So for the evidence, all right, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. But for the evidence table, it says gather evidence for your position. So what you'll see is that we have 2 pieces of evidence. The second piece of evidence is optional, all right? And it doesn't necessarily need to be a quote. It could be an example from the text, which is really what I've done with my first piece of evidence, as I'll explain in a few moments. But for each position or option, I'm providing you with at least 1 piece of evidence, with the exception of my own position, which I'm providing 2 pieces of evidence. So for the evidence to support that students should be paid for performance in school, I want to remind you about the incentive program that was implemented in Washington, D.C. A Harvard economist named Roland Fryer analyzed the findings from the incentive study, and he concluded that students who were paid through this incentive program scored slightly higher on some district tests than students who weren't offered a monetary incentive. So this evidence would support a reason why students should be paid for performance in school, because clearly paying students to perform has resulted in better district and standardized test grades in the Washington, D.C. school district. So clearly that might be a reason why you feel that students should be paid for performance in school, is because if we pay them, they seem to perform better on these exams. All right, maybe that's a position that you have. Maybe you feel like that would motivate you to perform in school, or motivate you to, do better or try harder. For option B, students should not be paid for performance in school. You may choose to use this piece of evidence or any other evidence that you find, but this is the evidence I found. So this evidence here would support why students should not be paid. So I want to remind you that it had mentioned early on that in Africa, many students are willing to pay fees and undergo considerable hardship to attend school. Why should American students receive money for attending? So again, those that feel like, we should not be paying students to perform in school, they might think about what the school system looks like in other countries. In other countries, they're not paying their students to go to school. The students actually have to pay in order to go to school. So it's kind of like a bit backwards, because students in America, again, if this program was implemented, they feel like, oh, we might pay students to perform better. But in other countries and in other places, and in the continent of Africa, for instance, many students are willing to actually pay money to go to school. All right, so rather than the school giving them money to just show up, they're like, I'll give you money to let me in. All right, almost like the college system works. All right, so hopefully that evidence there makes some sense, and maybe you can pull some of my talking points around it into your response if you're a option A or option B person in terms of your opinion for this question. Now I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into my own opinion. Now, again, I'm not writing a physical response for you guys to model your own after, because that wouldn't necessarily be beneficial. However, you can feel free to pull some of the talking points that I'm presenting in my argument in these videos into your response, okay? So again, circling back to my position was that schools should undertake the task of providing alternative incentives to motivate students to do well in school. So again, rather than just simply pay students to do well in school, maybe the schools offer, a free college education or job training beyond high school. I think that would motivate me to do well in school, because, it's establishing, myself to have a good future. So this evidence here is actually an example I pulled by looking at the data, which is what we're doing with the math and scientific sections. So looking at the data, I was able to conclude and use this example to support my position. So it reads, according to Chantel and Sharif's survey, 130 out of 150 people said incentives other than money motivated them to get good grades. Majority of those responses stated getting into a good college or getting a good job was what motivates them the most. So again, thinking back to Chantel and Sharif's survey, which we had gone over the other day, right? That was this survey here, right? 130 out of the 150 responses that were given provided reasons other than money for performing well in school. And 80 of those responses, majority of those responses, stated getting into a good college and getting a good job was what motivates them the most. So this supports my position, because I think, again, the alternative incentive should be to provide a college education or job training beyond high school for getting good grades. So if you get good grades, you're going to get, free job training, or be able to advance your education into the collegiate level. Now, my second piece of evidence here, you're going to look at this and think, well, this doesn't really seem to support your position. All right. And I'm going to explain that I'm using this evidence to back up my argument by addressing the counter argument, which we talked a little bit about before we took this unexpected break from school. So this quote came from this week's issue, and it said, "We should do whatever it takes to enable students to do better in school. They won't learn if they are not in school, so paying for attendance is worth it." Now, I disagree with this, okay? I don't think we should simply pay students just for attending school, which is what, some parameters of this incentive are. Okay, some of them are saying like, oh, in order to get the incentive or get that money, you have to just simply attend school, which I don't think is enough. I think we got to take it a step further. And I also don't agree with the fact that students won't learn if they're not in school, because I think students, are learning at all times. You guys are young, you're being exposed to new things. I think particularly about younger children in second and third grade, they're learning new words as they're walking around down the street and hearing people converse, or when they're at Walmart in the checkout line, they might be, observing how, money works and how the exchange works and all that sort of stuff. So I kind of disagree with this claim. And I think it proves my point that we should offer an alternative incentive other than just, you showed up to school, here's a paycheck. Maybe that incentive could be that college education or free job training, and tie in not just attendance, but behavior as well as, grades. And I'm not saying that a student needs to get straight A's in order to receive this incentive, but what I'm saying is, they have to at least be passing with, maybe a C average, which, C is average. If you look at the grade scale, B is considered above average, A is, excellent, or, beyond or exceptional, however you want to define it, but C is average. So maybe we use, C as that benchmark, tie that in with attendance, tie that in with behavior, and we use that data to provide the incentive of a free college education or free job training. All right, so that's the breakdown for day 4 in terms of the possible claims, again, presenting my claim, and then some, potential evidence you might use to support your opinion. And again, taking it now to our next steps, okay? Your next steps are going to be to complete page 30, which is take a stand. All right, that's the final page of the packet where you write your response. I don't want to slow my computer down and project that now, but the final page of Word Generation 2.05 asks you to take a stand and write a response to the question, should students be paid for performance in school? Now, here's the criteria for your response, okay? And then down here, we have the rubric. So how I'll be assessing or grading your response when it comes time for me to take a look at them. So it reads, students should use evidence from the reading and or my notes to support their responses. So you should use evidence from the reading, or maybe you reference something I said in a previous video, and use that evidence to support whichever opinion that you have. Students should review the response to text grading rubric, which this is the rubric here. I'm going to go over the score point of 3, exceeding the standard, since that's what we're all aiming for. Minimum 1 paragraph response, 5 to 7 original sentences. Guys, original sentences are your own sentences in your own words. Your evidence does not count towards that 5 to 7 original sentences, okay? So maybe your topic sentence is 1 sentence, your introduction's another sentence, then you hit us with some evidence, and maybe you have two sentences. Oh, can't separate my fingers. Maybe you have 2 sentences to explain that evidence, and then that last sentence, which is your concluding statement, that would have 5 original sentences with your evidence sandwiched between, and you'll be in good standing. So 5 to 7 original sentences. Accurately use as many of the vocabulary terms from the lesson as possible. So accurately use any of these terms from our lesson. Implement, motivate, undertake, incentive, and enable. All right, those are the words that we want to try to incorporate. And if you've been keeping up with this unit in these videos, you'll notice that I have undertaken the challenge of using as much of this vocabulary in my lessons as possible. And you'll see it bolded throughout my notes and, in some of the answers that I provided in the past. All right. So last but not least, the response to text grading rubric. So again, we're all aiming for at least a 2 or a 3. So looking at the score point of a 3, central idea is clear and fully developed. So your opinion is clearly stated, and you fully develop your opinion and support your opinion with evidence and explanation. Okay, that's what that means. Effective selection and explanation of evidence and details. Again, you're choosing the right evidence and explaining that evidence thoroughly. Using concrete, or I shouldn't say concrete, I'm confusing you, but using quality examples that support the position that you have for this topic. Next is effective organization. So again, thinking of that response to text organization that we've established. Again, think of these as like mini body paragraphs, a topic sentence. We introduce the evidence, we state the evidence, we explain the evidence. We have some sort of concluding statement that summarizes our big point. Clear expression of ideas. Again, your writing is clearly understood. It's using correct grammar, punctuation, spelling, perhaps word choice, etc. Full awareness of the purpose for writing. And again, the purpose in writing for all of these prompts is to express your opinion and express it in full detail. Okay, so full awareness of the purpose of writing, that just simply means, do you understand what it is you need to write about and how you need to go about writing that response? So a lot of that is really, based on the organization, the evidence selection, so on and so forth. Lastly, demonstrates full understanding of most of the lesson vocabulary. So the lesson vocabulary consists of 5 terms. You want to try to use as many of those terms as possible in your response. And I would say a full understanding of the most of the lesson vocabulary would mean that you use at least 3 of the 5 words accurately in your final response, where you take a stand on page 30. All right. So just going to take a quick look at my notes here. It says, all right, just a couple of quick reminders, guys. Again, send Mrs. Pettinati your artwork. All right, send her your artwork. Her email is rpettinati@fallriverschools.org. I'll spell that out again, rpettenati @fallriverschools.org. You could also share it with me, and I'll share it with her if you'd like to have that work included in the second virtual art exhibit that she's putting together. Just want to remind you, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel and stay up to date with all of the latest content that I'm putting out. And last but not least, tomorrow we're going to begin a new word generation unit, word generation unit 2.06, which does Title IX, promote gender fairness in sports and education. That's a mouthful. I'm having a look down here at the title. But Title IX is a law that was implemented by the government, to kind of just quickly preview, that provides funding to schools so that schools could have extracurricular activities. And what this question is going to have us investigate is that money that's distributed to the schools being distributed fairly? Meaning, is it being distributed fairly? Are there an equal number of, programs, thinking sports at least, for males as there are for females? Is there an equal number of athletic programs as there are to extracurricular programs such as, theater and art and music? So we're going to take a look at that tomorrow. Obviously, we'll kick it off with our day 1 sequence, just reading this week's issue and getting into the vocabulary using some 7 steps. And as always, guys, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Comment on YouTube, email me, pveiros@fallriverschools.org. Hit me up on Blooms, post in the Google Classroom. Anything to just let me know, like, hey, I'm doing okay. I'm not so much worried about your overall achievement in work as I am about just your own, your personal welfare and well-being. I hope that you're all staying safe out there. Again, I know that the extended school closure for the rest of the year really bums a lot of us out, but we still got work to do, and we're going to get it done. All right, we're going to get it done together. I'm going to help you. And if you're tuning in, I appreciate it, and I think that hopefully these videos will help you to be successful and take some of that stress and pressure off of your back in terms of this work. All right. So with that, I'm going to just close it out. I'm going to go back to the Orwells, let that song play out for another minute or two, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Again, 11 a.m. to 12 a.m., student engagement hour. I'm going to have some fun tomorrow. I know that looking to link up with Miss Herney's Lunch Bunch group. Hopefully she has some students in there. And if we can do that, then, we'll merge the classrooms and we'll have everybody in a group and we can chit chat and talk about enrichment ideas for the future. All right, so here we go. The Orwells, Who Needs You, to close out our lesson today. Oh, my phone is being junk. There we go. I want to pledge allegiance. I miss doing that. All right, guys. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves. Make sure you wash your hands, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much. Have a good one.